The college football experience Dantabase top 25 episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Networks presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET is what you need to win. Sign up today. Bet $100. Get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by the SGPN World Cup free roll contest. Yes, $250 cash and a $250 gift card will be going out to the winner. Enter today exclusively on the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. So grab that thing today. And remember, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience Dantabase top 25 ranking show. My name is Colby Swinging Dantabase Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I smoke and I drink and I don't have stress and I'm healthy.
oh man. I mean, we're watching an unbelievable Maction game at this very minute, this very second. I mean, in the snow, Battle of I-75, Toledo Bowling Green. What's not to like about this game? I took Bowling Green as on the money line as a 16.5-point dog, so I'm very excited to see the final 5 seconds in this game as we are rolling along, folks. And wouldn't it be fantastic, if we had some automatic qualifiers, right? In the land of CFP, where you have all this bullshit being pumped into your face every day, all these tweets, all these shows, all the CFP rankings that where the goalposts change every fucking year, let alone every week. A large playoff with automatic qualifiers. You want to talk about making the regular season much, much, much more important. I mean, this Bowling Green Toledo game, absolutely important. There's 5 seconds left right now. Toledo's got to go 99 yards, but this game's been wild. I would put this game has been wild all night. I would put this up there with some of the better college football games all season. So, yeah, and Bowling Green gets that dub. Shout out to me. Hope you tailed me on this one as the Falcons get the outright dub as 16.5 or 17-point dogs. There was no Daquan Finn for Toledo. What up to the chat? Dryden's already in there talking. Go Beavers. Lane Elliott say, what's up, Kobe? What's up, Lane? How you doing, brother? And look, wouldn't that be fantastic, though? I know I got to get into my top 25 rankings, but can you imagine? Look, let's just rattle off what this would be like, because it really should. It should be a large playoff with 10 automatic qualifying bids. 10 automatic qualifying bids because there's 10 conferences, and if they never want to give the power up and have a smaller school essentially get some of that money, which is just a fucking joke. Take a look at this weekend. If you were to do this, first off, these Maction games would all be critical. All right. Ohio wins tonight against Ball State. They clinch the MAC championship. And Toledo loses tonight, but I think Toledo's already clinched that. So maybe there's a chance there could be another tie, but I believe that would do it. So you would have Ohio, Toledo playing. Obviously, this Tuesday night MAC game would have been way more important than it normally is. Then you go down the ranks. Oh, Thursday night, SMU Tulane. Can you imagine what Tulane lost to UCF last week? They only have one loss in conference, but SMU's still alive to win the conference too. So that means we would be watching a Thursday night game with huge importance on who can get to the AAC championship. No, we don't. Oh, Friday night. If we had an automatic qualifier for the Mountain West, let me get this straight. San Diego State's a game and a half out of playing in the Mountain West Championship. It's a game at New Mexico. They should win that. But hey, all of a sudden that game becomes more important. Oh, then you get to Saturday morning, Navy at UCF. Well, if Navy was to knock off UCF, that would be critical. Oh man, that'd be an important game to watch. On the morning slate. Yeah. Then you bounce down and say, okay, what else do we have here? Well, you kind of have this year TCU at Baylor. Yes, Baylor is still alive to make the Big 12 championship. That game would be critical. Illinois at Michigan. Illinois is still alive to make the Big 10 West championship. Michigan's still alive to make the Big 10 East championship, or, to win the Big 10 East. Absolutely critical game. That one kind of still is a critical game, even without my automatic bids, but still, Houston, East Carolina, there's still stakes there. Houston and East Carolina can still make it. They need some help, but that they can still make it. That would be a huge game. Kansas State, West Virginia. That still is a huge game currently, but obviously if you knew there was an automatic bid on the line, that would be a lot different. And then you could go down the ranks for all of these. All right. And even if you took the highest ranked independent, I think you could make a case where, Liberty or BYU would still have a shot if BC upset Notre Dame. So there'd be that angle. You could go one by one. I could go through the Boise State, Wyoming game, which is critical enough in its own right, but for nothing really. They don't have a shot at the playoff. If you had the Mountain West champion as a bid, it would just be so much fucking better. All right. How many times do I got to say it? This is a Dantabase Top 25 edition, though, so I'm not going to spit all this gibberish at you all day. Got the Duke, Kansas college basketball game on now. Remember to subscribe to the College Basketball Experience as we talk college hoops nightly over there. All right, well, let's hop into it. Yeah, Dryden says, why even allow teams in your league who legitimately aren't allowed to compete for your championship? That's exactly the point. It's like they'll load the deck against you from a scheduling standpoint, which I've proven. I have data to prove that. And then they'll do everything because you're not a name brand to make sure you're not in there. That's why you need 12 is nonsense. Yeah, 12 is better than 4, sure. We get more football, but I do not. Looking at the top 12 that I saw tonight, I don't trust these people to make the right decisions for the 12 best football teams. And I think it's very hard to do that. But you know what? This is why college basketball's model works. You cast a large enough net that you can barely be wrong. And if you're wrong, like say Xavier last year, where they won the NIT and they were on the bubble. So you could say, okay, we got that one wrong. But you know what? They could have controlled their own fate. So you're pretty much still getting it right. That's what they should do, is cast a big enough net. And I mean, to me, I know people will laugh at me. I don't understand it. But I would say minimum. I've said this before, minimum 32 teams for me. Maybe you could talk me into 24 and we'll see how that goes. But I think 32 is the perfect number to start with. I know people would just say, you're a fucking idiot, right? No, I don't believe that. I believe if you do 10 qualifiers, then you rank the 22 best teams after that. I don't know. Let's just start. Let's get into this. You get me on a tangent. I'm drinking Basil Hayden over here. At number 25 in the land, I got the South Alabama Jaguars. Yes, I mean, shout out to them. They should have beat UCLA early in the season. They really should have. They dominated that game, in my opinion. And if you go back and watch it, you would see that. Yes, they were stupid to try a fake field goal up points to give UCLA the ball back. If you just kick the field goal, you make UCLA have to score a touchdown on you. I don't get it, but hey, that's a decision the coach made, but they're good. Their only losses are look at these losses. 1 point loss at UCLA all the way across the country, and a 4-point loss against Troy, who has been on a long winning streak. South Alabama deserves some respect. At number 25, I have the Jaguars of South Alabama. At 24, I got the Duke Blue Devils. Mike Elko. They're super impressive. They're playing Pitt this week. I mean, there's a chance Pitt and Wake left. Imagine if they win both those and go 9-3 in his first year. He didn't even bring anybody in the portal. I mean, maybe a couple players, but it was not. I mean, he took a terrible team a year ago and made them good. Unbelievable coaching job. If you're not mentioning him as coach of the year, I know everyone's talking. This is the problem with this. I love college football. I think more than most, if not everybody. And you talk about the sexy hires, essentially the sexy names, like, oh, Josh Heupel's got Tennessee rolling. Yes, he does, and credit to him. But if you're not mentioning Jim Mora Jr. at UConn, if you're not mentioning Mike Elko at Duke, if you're not mentioning a slew of other coaches all around the country that deserve that recognition, Lance Leipold at Kansas, I'd say Chris Kleiman at Kansas State, because you know they release these preseason polls and these recruiting rankings that basically prove that those coaches then deserve that. If those recruiting rankings really hold merit, it's one or the other. All right, what's it gonna be? Duke at number 24. They're rolling. Look at Duke's only losses this year. A 8-point loss at Kansas. Now, Kansas, I felt like, was the better team that whole game, right? A 3-point overtime loss to Georgia Tech. And a 3-point loss to North Carolina. They should have beat North Carolina. The Georgia Tech game, you can make your points. They kind of didn't show up for that one as a look-ahead spot. But they should have beat North Carolina. They were in control of that game until the final, 30 seconds of the game. And even with that, all three losses by a score or less. That's fantastic. Mike Elko. I mean, shit. He's what? He's like 13 points away from being undefeated, or 14 points away from being undefeated. Unbelievable coaching job. The fact that they're not ranked is ridiculous. The fact you'll put Notre Dame over there. Notre Dame's losses are to Stanford, Marshall, and Ohio State. Okay, the Ohio State one, you get a pass. Marshall's looking better. They have a winning record. But still, Marshall isn't even close to the top of their division. I get it. The Georgia Tech loss is bad, but Georgia Tech still has 4 wins. It's not as bad as Stanford. And then you got a loss to, 8-1 North Carolina and a bowl team in Kansas, all on the road at Kansas. Give me a break. Give me the Duke Blue Devils at number 24. At number 23, I got the Florida State Seminoles. I wonder, and I wish there was a 9th ACC conference game, because we might have seen Duke and Florida State, because it's hard to tell. I've said this for the past couple weeks. I don't ever recall the ACC or a Power 5 conference being this bad. I don't think there's a lot of good teams in this conference. I don't even know about Syracuse. No, Florida State dominated Syracuse. They dominated Miami. They dominated Boston College. And they should be rewarded for that. They beat LSU, and that win's looking better and better. I just don't know how good they are, but 7-3, you got to just respect the resume at this point. Dude, they're going to go 9-3 probably. Louisiana and Florida left. I mean, maybe Florida gets them. Louisiana's not setting the world on fire there. But you got to rank them there. If we're giving Power 5 teams merit, you got to rank them there. If you told me right now Florida State played Baylor, I would lay 10 points in Baylor. But it is what it is. We're looking at the resume. We're trying to grade the Power 5s as the Power 5s. I don't know. It's tough. Number 22, I got the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Oklahoma State finding a way. Spencer Sanders coming out of the woodworks to get that dub against Iowa State. and they got Bedlam on deck here. But Oklahoma State, really, when you think about it, who was their flat? They got their ass whooped by Kansas State. They also lost to Kansas, and they lost in overtime to TCU. But some of that was backup quarterback play. And if you're going to use that excuse for ranking Alabama so high when Quinn Ewers got knocked out of the Texas game, then you got to use it everywhere, which is my problem with their whole system. They only use it circumstantially. So it's just a crock of shit. It's so obvious what'd the guy say last week? The guy said they're evaluating USC of why they're ahead of UCLA, who I have USC ranked over UCLA, but I would never be this dumb to say this. Well, Caleb Williams has 28 touchdowns. What? Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck how many touchdowns their quarterback has? Absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Shout out we got Tom Hanks in the chat. Loved you in the Burbs, man. What a classic. Oklahoma State deserves to be ranked, and they deserve to be ranked. You can make a case they deserve to be higher than they are. At number 21, I got the Ole Miss Rebels. Wait, they almost knocked off Alabama. They did, but I don't think Alabama's nearly as good as what, I think we have history putting Alabama in that spot. Alabama didn't look great. They got the win. I thought they made great halftime adjustments to slow down that Ole Miss offense. But the reality is Ole Miss doesn't really have a lot of meat on their bone. The SEC's down. It's still a good conference. Although it's down, I would probably rank it as the second best conference. But what is their best win? It's Troy, week 1, which was breaking in a brand new coach. So that's their best win. The Kentucky win, well, Vanderbilt just beat Kentucky. Turns out Kentucky sucks. Auburn win? No, not very good. A&M? They're terrible. They have one of the worst resumes for an 8-2 team. It's almost unbelievable that they're 8-2. It's almost unbelievable you could put 10 games on that schedule and go, I don't know. It's just it's a really bad resume. But they are solid. That's the question. It's a really hard to gauge. This is my point on gauging 12 teams. It's hard to gauge how good Ole Miss is because they're probably somewhere worthy of being in the top 25 based off of their talent. It's just every good team they've played, they've lost to really. Except Troy. I guess Troy is the one win that you would say, okay, but still that was a brand new coach. Troy was having a new quarterback. It was just, everything was brand new there. So you almost give them, it's like Florida State beating LSU. Would you take LSU to beat Florida State right now? I would. But at the same time, Florida State was lucky enough to catch them in the first game of the season with a brand new quarterback and a brand new coach. We need a large playoff. If Ole Miss was to play Florida State tomorrow, I have no idea. I could see Florida State winning that game. If Ole Miss plays Baylor tomorrow, I think I'm taking Baylor. But I don't know. I think that's why just a big playoff would be good because you can figure out some of this shit. At number 20, I got the Oregon State Beavers. Shout out to the Beavers. I know Dryden in the chat. Big Beaver fan. Man, they were so close. They're still, and I have a broken record on this show talking about they're a quarterback away from being a top 10 team. Not a national contender because they wouldn't put you there, but top 10 team. All right. In my eyes, you look at their losses, the loss at USC in the game that I thought they should have won. Then they get smoked at Utah, but they actually outgained Utah. That was deceiving. Their quarterback threw 2 interceptions on the first 2 drives. And then a 3-point loss to Washington in a game where they were up 90% of that, 99% of that game, 99.9% of that game. They're a good team. And they're going to win this next game, I believe, against Arizona State. And then they get Oregon, which I think they're going to beat Oregon in the Civil War. And I think they're going to end up 9-3, but they probably should be 10-2. And you could even make a case 11-1 if they beat Oregon and Arizona State. Obviously, going to the desert's always tricky. The They're a good football team. And I actually think if you had a large playoff, they would be a threat. If they need to get a quarterback. They got to be talking in the portal to some of these guys. Hank Bachmeier, Jeff Sims. I'm sure he's going to probably end up in the portal. I mean, Brennan Armstrong, I would imagine, would be in the portal. I don't know now with the situation there at UVA. There's just got to be a slew of quarterbacks that are trying to hit the portal like they do every year. I feel like Liberty's got like 5 decent quarterbacks on their roster. Some of those guys got to be hitting the portal. Shit, you can make a case. Hudson Card from Texas. You put Hudson Card at Oregon State, they probably win some of those games because he's not great, but he's better than what they have. Quinn Ewers might end up in the portal if they start Arch Manning next year. I'm telling you, it's good. The portal is going to be fucking crazy in a month. They deserve the number 20 spot. At number 19, I do have the Troy Trojans. Whoa. How could you put Troy over Ole Miss? Well, I made that point. I made that point right there. That was the first game of the season. Troy has stayed red hot. How many wins does Troy have in a row? And once again, this would all be settled in the playoff. Troy hasn't lost since fucking that Hail Mary. They should be 9-1. Oh man. They get it done against Army, get the dub. Shout out to the Troy Trojans. The Sun Belt is going to be fun. I mean, it really already is a bundle of fun. I would love to see a Sun Belt ACC challenge. I would love to see that. Could you imagine that? I think they would really be able to hold their ground. I think they might even be able to get the best of them. I mean, we saw North Carolina barely and not by anything they did, by Chase Bryce missing a wide open target in the end zone on a 2-point conversion. They survived App State. App State's like 4th or 5th or 6th in the Sun Belt right now. Telling you. They just don't have the money. They don't have the tie-in to ESPN essentially. Anyway, let's continue on this ranking journey. At number 18, I got the Kansas State Wildcats, and I am holding a ticket for Kansas State to win the Mountain West, the Big 12. I think they would have beat TCU had Adrian Martinez and Will Howard not gotten knocked out. I actually think they probably would have beat Texas had because Martinez came back, kind of ruined a little bit of the chemistry they had. But either way, I think they're a damn good football team. And I think in a large playoff, they could really give some problems to some teams. Like Clemson, in my mind, and I have Clemson ranked higher than Kansas State. I think Kansas State's a better football team than Clemson. Because this is resume based. This is not my opinion. This is resume based on what I gather from the resume. But I think Kansas State's a really good football team. I think their defense is really good too. I got them at number 18. Hopefully they can. They have a sneaky trip to Morgantown this weekend. At number 17, I got the UCF very Golden Knights. Great win at Tulane. Gus Malzahn, it's weird. East Carolina beat the shit out of UCF a couple weeks ago in Greenville, and I thought, man, Malzahn just doesn't have it all the way. Then they beat Cincy the next week, actually, in a game that I was on UCF, so that I thought it was a good spot to get Cincy. But I didn't think they would beat Tulane, and that was an impressive win as they kind of dominated the whole game. Now, can they avoid the letdown spot against Navy and then South Florida with an interim head coach? We shall see, but they definitely deserve to be number 17 in my eyes. At number 16, I got the UCLA Bruins. They're out of conference schedule was dog shit. Not their fault that Michigan didn't cancel their home and home. But I did wonder coming into it. And I wondered last week. I took Arizona plus the points. I didn't take Arizona on the money line, but I thought it was possible because I know UCLA, I just need to see more tests. And I know that's not a great home court environment. So, or home field environment. I'm talking college basketball already. But either way, they deserve it. They do have a win against Utah. They do have a win against Washington. Those are really good wins. Even the South Alabama win that they got done looks good. The Bowling Green win, they're a bowl team with that win tonight. So shout out to the UCLA Bruins. They're number 16. At number 15, I got the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, and they open the season at UCLA next year. So we'll get to see this matchup. I'm probably going to go to that game. Coastal has Virginia on deck. Who knows if they're going to play that game with the unfortunate incidents that occurred in Charlottesville. But Coastal only has one loss, and it was a weird loss to ODU, Old Dominion. They didn't show up for. Coastal doesn't have a lot of meat on their bone with their schedule. But, I mean, I'm talking out of conference schedule. In conference, Sun Belt's good, but I do think they've proven themselves to be the number 15 team in the nation. So give me the Chanticleers at number 15. At number 14, I got the Alabama Crimson Tide. Saban I thought he did a really good coaching job. Probably the best coaching job of the season in my eyes this past week, making some big adjustments. And they're still good. I mean, they're hilarious this year because anyone can make an argument against them. I mean, they're honestly a couple points away. They're not even points. They are like 3 plays away from having what? They're 3 plays away from having a loss to Texas, A&M, and Ole Miss. 3 plays. The final 3 plays of the game in those situations. I mean, but at the same time, you could say also they lost to Tennessee on the final play of the game. They lost to LSU on the final play of the game. You could really make a case. I mean, they could have 5 losses right now, or they could easily be undefeated. They're a good team, though. They're still a good team, and they still have guys. They're not as good as normal. And that's a question I posed, I want to say last week. But I do believe the portal's having an impact on the change in college football and college basketball. You look at their losses, and if you took the teams that they lost to or almost lost to, one by one, you say, okay, the Texas game. Well, Quinn Ewers, had he played, they probably would have lost. They should have lost that game without him, because the refs were fucking terrible in that game. There was a safety in the end zone. There was a face mask on Bijan Robinson at like the 5-yard line. But even if they have Quinn Ewers, he was tearing them up. Quinn Ewers is an Ohio State transfer. You jump to the other game. Who'd they lose to? Hendon Hooker, Virginia Tech transfer. You jump to the other game. Who'd they lose to? LSU, Jaden Daniels, Arizona State transfer. You jump to the Ole Miss game. Jackson Darts, their quarterback, USC transfer. All those guys, and that's just a small sample. Imagine the whole team when you look at them. Those teams were able to address a need that previously they'd be starting Miles Brennan at LSU if it wasn't for the transfer portal. I don't think LSU comes close to beating Alabama with Miles Brennan. They'd be starting, who knows, at Tennessee. Probably JT Shrout, the Colorado quarterback, or Harrison Bailey, the UNLV backup. They're not beating Alabama with those guys, right? Yeah, you hop down, you say, okay, well, maybe Dart was better than what Ole Miss had as the backup, and I'm drawing a blank on the kid's name right now. But then you go to Hudson Card. Well, Quinn Ewers is obviously better than Hudson Card. They went out and got him. So the portal, I think, making a big difference in the parity in college athletics, especially college football, college basketball. So number 14, I got Alabama. Number 13, I got the Oregon Ducks. Well, no, how can I put Alabama ahead of Oregon? Alabama wouldn't lose by 46 to Georgia. True. They wouldn't. But I think Oregon hasn't lived on the edge as much as Bama has. And I think you should credit Oregon for playing that out of conference game all the way across country. Yes, Bama went to Austin, but Oregon also played BYU. And, you could say, well, I mean, I know BYU is not great. We thought they were going to be great, though. And BYU is still better than either Utah State or BYU beat Utah State or whoever the fuck, Alabama, Austin P, ULM. Come on. I think you got to reward that. Put Oregon at 13. Oregon also lost a close one. To Washington there. Number 12, I got the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State's resume. Ohio. How about the action? Ohio's looking a lot better. I get it. The Auburn win doesn't look the Auburn win doesn't look great, right? But I don't care. It was tough. It was an away game. They hadn't fired everyone yet. It's still got to hold some merit. You look at their other wins. So the Ohio win looks better and better. The Purdue win looks better and better. Shit. I mean, the Minnesota win, even though I know they didn't have Tanner Morgan, what are you supposed to do? That win looks better and better. I mean, Maryland's win. Maryland's going to be in a bowl. And that's your resume. It's a pretty good resume, though. They had Ohio State on the ropes for a lot of that second half, and then Ohio State blew it open. They did get dominated at Michigan, but okay, that's one game. I think Penn State is to me, they deserve to be the number 12 team in the country. At number 11, I got the Washington Huskies. This is a situation where you say, okay, their two losses are on the road, but they were both back-to-back. One of them is to an awful team. Well, probably an awful team in Arizona State. True. There's no hiding that. But the Michigan State win's looking a lot better. I mean, this is tough. I'll be fair here. It's hard. Okay, who's better, Oregon or Purdue? Penn State's best win's Purdue. Washington's best wins at Oregon. I think Oregon's better than Purdue. It's close, though. Alabama's best win. What is Alabama's best win? Ole Miss. I got no idea. You could argue all three of them in different spots. It's tough. But I do think you got to put Washington ahead of UCLA, despite UCLA beating them head-to-head, because Washington played a much tougher out-of-conference schedule than UCLA. So there's that. They have more wins against Power 5 opponents than UCLA. And with that, at number 10, I got the LSU Tigers. We Tigers here on this podcast. Look, Brian Kelly and his family are having a great run. They look like shit, in my opinion, on Saturday, and they got very lucky KJ Jefferson was out, because I think they 100% lose that game if KJ Jefferson's there. I mean, what, Jaden Daniels threw for like 86 yards? They look like shit. I mean, defensively, I know that one guy had a beast. The freshman looked like fucking Derek Thomas 2.0. But they got the dub. Brian Kelly found a way to do it. Got the dub. Got to reward them. All right, folks, I want to tell you, before we get to number 9, I want to tell you that the college football experience Dantabase Top 25 episode is brought to you by WinBet. Yes, WinBet's now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WinBet is what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100, get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. We're also brought to you by the SGPN World Cup free roll. Yeah, it starts later this week. $250 cash and a $250 gift card is going to the winner. Enter today exclusively on the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. So grab that thing today and let it ride. All right, we're back. We are back talking Dantabase Top 25. At number 9, let me go ahead and say, at number 9 deserves to be the Utah Utes. Well, why would I put Utah ahead of LSU? LSU beat Florida. They have a common opponent. Well, that was the first game of the season. It's cross country. And I think Utah's schedule out of conference much better than LSU's when you consider San Diego State and Florida. LSU's is what? Florida State. Okay. That holds some merit. ULM? No. Southern? No. New Mexico? No. Fuck you. You should be penalized for that. And let's put Utah at number 9. At number 8, Clemson Tigers. Look, they're a team that drives me crazy because I don't think the ACC is good. I would probably take every team short of... I'd probably take the next 10 teams behind them to beat Clemson head-to-head this year. Maybe even more. But the resume speaks to itself, and if we're going to honor a Power 5 win, we got to honor them. They only have one loss, even though they got their ass whooped by a team that has been questionable throughout this season. Got to reward them. Clemson at number 8. At number 7, I got the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I firmly believe North Carolina should be ranked higher than Clemson. They're 6-0 on the road. Let me repeat that. They are 6-0 on the road. They've had 3 sets of back-to-back away games. They have 1 loss to Notre Dame, a common opponent. North Carolina, their schedule is a lot better than Clemson's. They should be ranked ahead of Clemson. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Absolutely fucking ridiculous that they have Clemson ahead of North Carolina. At number 6, we got the Tennessee Volunteers. And this is the shitty part is that my top 6 really hasn't changed. They're number 6. They look fantastic. And they just put it on Missouri late. I even stopped watching, and I didn't know the score would get up to whatever that score got to. What, at 58 or 60 or something? I don't know. But shout out to them. They continue to win. The SEC East, questionable besides Georgia and Tennessee. Who's the third best team? It's probably Florida. It's probably the Florida Gators. Because I can tell you, Kentucky doesn't look very good. South Carolina doesn't look very good. Missouri doesn't look very good. And Vanderbilt's actually showing vast improvement. But they're still not very good. But Tennessee continues to win, and they should be. And that win at LSU looks better and better and better. Even the Alabama win looks better because Alabama beats Ole Miss. At number 5, I got the USC Trojans. I heard Reese Davis talk about this tonight, saying USC has no wins over quality opponents. Fuck you, all right? Because, look, and I like Reese Davis. I do. But Oregon State's not a quality win. Oregon State's not a quality win in Corvallis. What am I missing? You're completely biased. It's ridiculous. I get it. Okay, Tennessee's beaten. He was comparing them to Tennessee. I get it. Tennessee's beat Alabama. That is certainly a quality win. And it is a better quality win than USC. But USC also lost by 1 point in a game they were up a lot in Salt Lake City on the road on a 2-point conversion. Tennessee lost in a game they got their ass kicked the entire fucking game. That's got to mean a little bit. I know Georgia's the number 1 ranked team. But shit, Utah's in the top 20. In their top 20. I don't know. Just drove me crazy. That Oregon State win's it's not a good win. Fuck you. Fuck you. They'll say Kentucky's win's great, but Oregon State's is not. Number 4, Michigan Wolverines. They're out of conference schedule. And look, I want to penalize them as much as I can because they were bitches to cancel the UCLA game. They were complete bitches to do that. There's no hiding that. But they look good. They're running shop against everyone in the Big Ten. They're a Power 5 school. It's like Clemson. Not a lot of meat on that bone, but yeah, I tell you one thing, the UConn win's looking better. Shout out to Jim Moore Jr. He's doing a great job there in stores. At number 3, I got Ohio State. Haven't changed it. Their out-of-conference schedule is better than Michigan's. They should be ahead of Michigan. They should certainly be ahead of Michigan. I think anyone that argues that Michigan should be ahead of Ohio State is absolutely fucking crazy. Because Notre Dame and Toledo are better than every single team out of conference that Michigan played. At number 2, I got the Georgia Bulldogs as they continue to look great. Great win at Mississippi State. Dominant win. And then at number 1, TCU as they win at Texas. And I think TCU's played more away games than Georgia. I think the Big 12 is the best conference in college football this year, which is why I think TCU should be ranked number 1. Even though if they were to play Georgia, I would probably take Georgia. But it shouldn't be about what I think will happen in a game. It should be the best team from the best conference with the most away games won and staying undefeated should be ranked higher than the other one. That's simple. This is the Dantabase Top 25. Folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience. We do this every single week. We talk college football year round here. We talk college basketball year round on the other feed. Check out the College Basketball Experience. Subscribe to both. Check out the College Baseball Experience as well. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/thecollegeexperience. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Also, check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. Also, check out the NFL Gambling Podcast. Also, check out the soccer gambling podcast. World Cup's right around the corner, folks. Check it out. We got a lot of great stuff coming. You get the SGPN app, and it's free. What do you got? Enter that contest. Win some money. And what else? Come talk college football with us. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Cannot wait for this weekend and more action tomorrow night. And until then, well, first off, if you can, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star review. We'd certainly appreciate that. And if you can, give us a follow on Twitter. We're at TCE on SGPN. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Give us a follow, folks. All right, this is the college football experience, Dantabase top 25 style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Thank you. Well, this is a great way to get started. And I haven't even won all my games yet. It's a great night to be a Tiger. I'm here with my family, and we are so excited to be in the great state of Louisiana.
Sometimes people that are standing on third base think they hit a triple. You know? We didn't.
It's Division I football. It's the Big 12. It ain't your murals.
Well, I don't get the end cold, but you're counting down 765.